Some soldiers walk loudly, boasting, bragging, filling the room with noise. And then, there are the others, the quiet ones, the ones who move like shadows through the corridors of the military, carrying stories written in scars, stories they never tell. Petty Officer Lina Rios was one of those. 26 years old, hospital corpsman, second class. Stationed temporarily at Naval Base Coronado, assigned to basic medical support for pre-deployment screenings. A normal day, a normal assignment, or so it should have been. But quiet people often carry the loudest histories, and sometimes, rarely, the right set of eyes can read what no one else sees. This story begins with a routine medical check and ends with a question that shook the room. Why are you here? A question asked by a SEAL admiral who recognized scars he had not seen in over a decade. Scars belonging only to one group of people, and one unsolved betrayal. It was 620 hours when Lina arrived at the medical center. Fog drifted in from the Pacific, low and heavy. The base was quiet, the kind of quiet you only get right before a training pipeline restarts, when everyone is either asleep or steeling themselves for hell. Lina clocked in, tied back her hair, and signed into the clinic's internal log. A routine roster, routine vitals, routine health screenings. Her voice was calm, steady. She moved with precision, every step measured, every gesture composed. She was efficient, almost too efficient, the type of corpsman who did everything well but never drew attention to herself. She hated attention. Around 7:10, the staff received a message. ADM Richard Stryker, United States Naval Special Warfare Command, to arrive for private medical clearance. Her senior chief raised his eyebrows. Big man coming in. Don't screw anything up. Lina nodded. Understood, senior. She didn't care. Admirals were just higher-ranked humans with more paperwork. But when she heard Stryker, something tugged inside her, like a memory brushing against the surface of her mind. She ignored it. When Admiral Richard Stryker walked into the medical center, the atmosphere shifted. The man carried tension like a storm, tall, mid-50s, built like someone who had refused to let time win. His eyes were sharp, cold blue, observant, the kind that noticed details people wished he wouldn't. He greeted the senior staff politely. Then his gaze slid across the room and paused on Lina. She felt it, that sharp, almost surgical attention. He didn't know her, no reason to even notice her. Yet his eyes narrowed slightly, a flicker of confusion crossing his face. She looked away, focused on her clipboard. Corpsman Rios, her senior called. You're taking vitals for the Admiral. She nodded. Of course. When she approached him, she kept her voice neutral. Good morning, sir, if you'll follow me. Her composure was excellent, not a tremor, not a flinch, but Stryker watched her too carefully. In the small medical exam room, Lina prepared equipment. Have a seat, sir. Stryker sat. He wasn't looking at the machines. He was looking at her hands. Her sleeves were rolled slightly, regulation compliant. But that was enough for him to see the faint edges of old scars. Thin, parallel, surgical, patterned. Scars that were not random. Scars created by a specific kind of captivity, and very few people in the world knew what those scars meant. Stryker's voice lowered, quiet, restrained. Where did you serve, corpsman? Mostly humanitarian deployments, sir. His gaze sharpened. And before that? Lina hesitated, but only for a fraction of a second. Classified training pipeline, sir. Stryker's heart nearly stopped. There was only one classified medical combat pipeline in the entire U.S. military that produced scars like hers. One he had overseen over a decade earlier. One that had been shut down after a catastrophic betrayal. One that had left 8 candidates wounded and 1 girl missing. A girl they believed dead. A girl who had disappeared before he could save her. His voice went soft. Too soft for an admiral. What's your full name? Lina Rios, sir. He swallowed. Memory slammed into him like recoil. Lina Rios. The name was familiar, but it couldn't be her. That girl had been 14, a gifted prodigy, recruited too young, lost before her life began. He studied her face, the eyes, the jawline, the scars. And suddenly he knew. It was her, the ghost, the missing trainee. Lina clipped the blood pressure cuff to his arm, calm and efficient. But Stryker's voice broke the silence. Why are you here? She froze. The monitor stayed silent, waiting. "What do you mean, sir?" His voice stayed low, barely controlled. "You shouldn't be here doing vitals for random officers. You shouldn't be anywhere near a normal corpsman billet." He leaned closer. "You're supposed to be dead." Her breath hitched, but only slightly, barely noticeable. But to Stryker, it was confirmation. For a moment, the decades of disciplined military composure fell off his face, revealing something human, something shaken. He repeated, softer, "Why, are you here?" Lena looked down. Then she reached for the cuff again. "Let's continue the examination, sir." "No." His tone sharpened. "Not until you answer." Her jaw tightened. "I am here because I am needed here. That's all." "Bullshit." His voice rose. Not loud, but enough that she stepped back. "Those scars, those protocols, those escape patterns, only one group of recruits ever had them." She stayed silent. Stryker shook his head slowly, staring like he was seeing a ghost. "Tell me who pulled you out of that facility. Who saved you?" She blinked. The answer was simple. No one. He swallowed hard, because that meant only one thing. She got herself out. At 14, from a black site facility he had spent years trying to investigate, shut down, and expose, the realization hit him like a blow. She didn't want to talk, didn't want to remember. But memories didn't care. They clawed their way back. A decade ago, a facility with no name, a training pipeline that never existed on any official record, a program meant to create med-combat hybrids for clandestine rescue operations, children selected for brilliance, resilience, and silence. They were trained brutally, efficiently, without mercy, until it all went wrong, until someone inside sold information to a hostile group, until an attack destroyed the compound, until children, her peers, were taken, used, broken, until she escaped. Alone. Her scars were from that escape. Each one a lesson, each one a memory. She learned never to trust authority again, never to speak of it, never to let anyone read those scars. She enlisted quietly years later, chose a field that allowed her to help others, kept her head down, started over, but now, this Admiral, this man who knew too much, was reopening everything she had buried. He leaned forward, voice gentler. "Lena, I searched for survivors. For a decade. I never stopped." She looked at him, really looked. He wasn't lying. He carried the weight, too. She forced her voice steady. "It's in the past, sir. I survived. Others didn't." Stryker shook his head. "No, this isn't finished. Someone in our chain of command betrayed you kids. Someone inside sold you out." His eyes burned with something she didn't expect. "Remorse, let me help you," he said. But help was a word she didn't trust. "I don't need help, Admiral." He studied her. "Then tell me what you need." She didn't answer. Because she didn't know. At 0930 hours, the base security office called the medical center. A coded alert. Not public, not broadcast. Just a quiet message. Unidentified individual attempting to access medical records. Stryker heard the commotion, saw the tense looks. "Someone looking for you?" he asked. Her silence said everything. He stood immediately. "Where's the access point?" The petty officer at the desk answered. "Sir, it looks like someone trying a remote breach from inside the base." Stryker's voice dropped to an icy command tone. "Lock the medical center. Now." "Yes, sir." Red indicator lights flashed, doors sealed. Staff hurried. Lena backed away from the windows, her heartbeat rapid, but her face perfectly calm. "Corpsman," Stryker said, stepping close. "Look at me." She did. He saw fear hidden under iron discipline. "Whoever is here," he said quietly. "They're not walking out with you." Military police arrived, security chiefs arrived. The base CO arrived, and finally, they caught the infiltrator. A contractor, civilian clearance. Fake badge. Stryker demanded access to the interrogation feed. When the cameras flickered on, Lena's stomach turned. She recognized the man's tattoos, the symbol carved into his wrist. He belonged to the same group that attacked the facility when she was a child. The group that took the others. The group she escaped from. They had been looking for her for 12 years. Her breath stopped. "They found me," she whispered. Stryker stood slowly. Not for long. He issued orders, sharp and fast. Full lockdown. Secure Rios's records. No digital access. Paper files only. I want a full background check on every contractor on base in the last 6 months. Notify NCIS, ONI, and Special Activities. Officers scrambled. The base CO frowned. Sir, what's going on? Stryker looked directly at Lena as he answered. Someone is trying to finish a job they started 12 years ago. The CO paled. Sir, who is she? Stryker answered without hesitation. Someone under my protection. Lena shook her head. Admiral, with respect. No, he said firmly. You survived hell. You don't get to fight this alone. For the first time, she felt something strange. Safety. Hours passed. Interrogations began. Security teams swept the base. Finally, the infiltrator talked, and what he revealed shattered the room. There was still an operational cell searching for survivors of the program. They wanted to retrieve anyone with early-phase augmentation training. In other words, the children who survived. Lena felt sick. They're hunting ghosts, she whispered. No, Stryker said softly. They're hunting you. At 1600 hours, Stryker asked her to join him in a private office. His voice was calm. Lena, I'm putting you under protective orders. Temporary reassignment. Secure housing. She shook her head. No, sir, I'm not running again. He looked almost proud. What do you want instead? She took a breath, and for the first time in her adult life, she said the truth aloud. I want to stop them. The ones who hurt us. The ones still hunting. Stryker nodded. Then he slid a sealed folder across the desk. This is an invitation to a special assignment selection. Voluntary, high risk, intelligence-directed search and rescue operations. Med combat integrated. She blinked. This was the career she should have had. The one she was meant for. The one stolen from her as a child. Why me? She whispered. He leaned forward. Because you survived when no one else could. Because you turned pain into discipline. Because you're stronger than the people who broke you. Then his voice softened. And because justice deserves one of its own. She stared at the folder. It wasn't fear holding her back. It was worthiness. Did she deserve this? Was she ready? Was she still that girl, scared and alone? Stryker watched her wrestle with the decision. Finally she spoke. I don't want revenge, sir. Good, I want closure. He nodded. And you'll have it, if you choose this path. She opened the folder. A blank line waited for her signature. Her hands were steady as she picked up the pen. No fear, no hesitation. She signed. Stryker exhaled slowly, like a weight lifting off his shoulders. Welcome back, Lena. Her voice was barely a whisper. I'm ready. 2 weeks later, Lena Rios left the ordinary corpsman life behind, not to erase her past, not to hide from it, but to use it, to turn trauma into purpose, pain into courage, scars into strength. She walked toward a future she had earned the hardest way possible, by surviving what was meant to destroy her. People often think strength is loud, obvious, explosive. But sometimes, strength is a girl who escaped a nightmare, grew up, put on a uniform, and chose justice instead of fear. Her story is not about violence, it's about healing. Her scars did not define her. They identified her. They showed the world where she had been, but her choices showed the world who she had become. The bravest people are not the loudest. They are the ones who rise quietly, carry scars silently, and still choose to protect others. Courage isn't the absence of pain. It's the decision to build something stronger from it.